welcome to the viewers and listeners locally and in the diaspora. A warm welcome also to all invited media houses that will be participating in Co-op Bank's half-year performance media briefing. Today's briefing is in keeping with our promise to keep the public updated on the bank's performance regardless the circumstance. Today we will provide you with the bank's half-year financial results, along with the results of the audit of our customer service charter for the 2020 fiscal year. Allow me to introduce this morning's panelists. Chairman of the Board of Directors, Mr. Darrell Brathwaite, Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Dion Moses, Executive Manager of Finance, Acting, Mrs. Alana Joseph, Manager, Customer Care, Mr. Roger Duncan. We will begin this morning's event with a statement from our Chairman, Darrell Brathwaite.
Good morning, everybody. Listeners and viewers of Co-op Bank's half-year performance media briefing. We will share with you our financial results for the first 6 months of the financial year, that is October to March, and the results of the independent audit of our customer service charter. Additionally, we will announce how the bank is bolstering its corporate social responsibility program to lessen the impact from the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic in our society. Financial results. The bank posted a commendable first half performance. Profit after tax, unaudited, for the 6 months ended March 31st, 2020, increased by $1.3 million, that is 22%, to $7.2 million compared to $5.9 million for the previous corresponding period. The improvement was primarily due to an increase in operating income arising from a better quality loan portfolio. Total assets now stand at $1.16 billion, a decline of 0.5%, or $5.3 million, over the first 6 months of the financial year. Customer deposits decreased by $14 million, that's 1%, from $1.06 billion at September the 30th, 2019, to $1.05 billion at March 31st, 2020. The bank's capital adequacy, solvency, and non-performing loan ratios all remain within regulatory requirements, with the non-performing loan ratio at 0.53%, which has been consistently maintained below the prudential benchmark of less than 5%. As we entered the second half of the financial year, we were hurled into uncharted waters with strong headwinds from the impact of the public policy responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. The environment will be characterized by rising unemployment, economic contraction, and pressures on the public finances. Given the uncertainties which lie ahead, the bank has already implemented risk management strategies to cushion the impact of the pandemic on our customers and to protect the balance sheet. The bank will continue to monitor this situation closely. The board remains committed to ensuring that financial objectives are met at the year end. Audit of the customer service charter. With a satisfaction rating of 76%, Co-op Bank's customers have again reaffirmed their satisfaction with the bank. This is despite a rapidly growing customer base and an increasingly competitive environment which has placed increased pressures on our resources in recent times. Further high-level details of the results of the 2020 independent audit of the bank's customer service charter will be presented by Mr. Dion Moses, Chief Operating Officer. On behalf of all the directors, I extend our sincere appreciation to the staff of the bank for such an impressive performance and to all our customers for your continued patronage. Corporate Social Responsibility Program. As a society, our response to the COVID-19 pandemic must be measured and purposeful. We have bolstered our corporate social responsibility program to lessen the medium to long-term impact of the fallout of COVID-19 on our society. Education is one of the pillars of the bank's corporate social responsibility program. Customers have invested in our education investment plan and we have rewarded them with star points and our scholarship programs. We are quite certain that the next few years will be extremely difficult for business, including our bank and individuals alike. However, it will be more difficult, even tragic, if we as a society falter on the educational needs of our children. Therefore, the bank has bolstered the educational pillar of its corporate social responsibility program. Mr. Roger Duncan, Manager, Customer Care, will outline the high-level details later in this briefing. Thank you. I will now introduce Mr. Dion Moses.
A pleasant good morning to you, members of the media, and I thank you for accepting our invitation to this press conference for yet another year, where we share with you the results of the audit of Grenada Co-operative Bank's Customer Service Charter. In 2011, Grenada Co-operative Bank Limited publicly affirmed its commitment to its customers to provide an excellent customer service experience. The service standards that we undertook to deliver are publicly disclosed in our Customer Service Charter found on the bank's website. This charter is the assurance given on the standards that can be expected from Cooperative Bank. It is our commitment to continually strive to improve our service and build relationships with you, our customers. It focuses on two important aspects. Number one, our commitment to always deliver excellent service. And two, our promises on the standards of service you can expect from us. Our charter states that annually we will conduct an independent audit to measure our performance against charter promises. Today, we will reveal these results. All the promised areas in the charter have been audited. That is, our telephone service, banking facilities, account opening procedures, electronic banking services, loan processing, and staff attributes. We are very delighted to present the results of our 2020 performance. The overall customer satisfaction ratings with the bank are as follows. 76% of the customers indicated they were satisfied with the bank, which is 6 percentage points above the benchmark of what is an accepted standard. On aggregate, Co-op Bank's customers have affirmed their high level of satisfaction with the bank with an overall rating of 94%. We continue to strive to improve our service delivery by ensuring that each customer of Co-op Bank receives service that is incomparable and is of a very high quality. At Co-op Bank, we take pride in providing our customers with a comfortable environment in which to do business with us. It was not surprising that our banking facilities were commendably rated for being well suited to persons with special needs, having adequate signage, being safe and secure, and customers were confident that their personal information was private. On average, our banking facilities were rated as being very comfortable, achieving an overall rating of 89%. While calls were not always answered within 3 rings, our customer service reps were highly rated for being courteous and helpful, handling questions and problems received over the phone satisfactorily. The average rating for our telephone service was 79%, a 2 percentage point increase over that of 2019. At Co-op Bank, we are committed to ensuring that our account opening procedures are simple and that the amount required for opening an account remains the lowest in the industry. On average, our customers felt that we fulfill our promise to them by giving us an excellent rating of 92%, a 2 percentage point increase over 2019. While our loan processing standards were not always met, we continued to record steady improvements in our response time for retail loan applications. Our loan fees remain affordable despite the challenges of the market. We continue to operate in a highly competitive environment and will do our best to meet the needs of our customers by building deeper relationships. To cope with our growing customer base, we continue to provide reliable electronic banking services. On average, our rating in this category was 87%, and we remain committed to strengthening our electronic banking platforms to ensure that they are swift, simple, and secure. Indeed, features of our electronic banking services are already widely and popularly known for their utility. Our staff attributes continue to receive exceptional ratings. This year, an average of 89% was received, being responsive to customers' needs, being friendly and courteous, and maintaining a professional appearance. We remain committed to ensuring that we have highly competent, well-trained staff to serve you, our valued customers. This rating suggests that our customers are more than satisfied with the high level of service received from our staff. At Co-op Bank, we promise our customers to ask, listen, and solve. Our level of response to dealing with customer complaints and bringing them to a resolution continues to show remarkable improvements. This year, customers have given us a rating of 61% in meeting the standards set for complaints handling. That is an 18 percentage point increase over 2019. Again, Co-op Bank is particularly pleased with these results given the rapidly growing customer base and an increasingly competitive environment which has placed increased pressures on our resources in recent times. Co-op Bank remains committed to providing a superior experience to our customers and all our stakeholders of the bank at all times. I thank you and now hand you over to the manager of our customer care department, Mr. Roger Duncan.
Thank you. Good morning to viewers, listeners, members of the media. We are living in what is potentially the greatest threat in our lifetime to education, a gigantic education crisis. What is worrying at this phase of the crisis is the real potential of losses in learning, increased dropouts at schools, lack of financial resources by parents, guardians to fund educational expenses, children missing the most important meal of the day or maintaining a healthy diet, just to name a few. This pandemic has the potential to create a lost generation of children and impede the rate of our social and economic development. Grenada Co-operative Bank believes that a good education opens doors and contributes greatly to the long-term well-being of individuals, families, communities, and our country. 10 years ago, Co-op Bank launched its Super Starter Education Investment Plan for parents, grandparents, guardians, or anyone interested in their own education or that of a child's from primary to tertiary levels, who want to help but don't have a practical savings plan in place to do so. A major benefit of being an owner of the plan is its scholarship program that funds the educational expenses of primary, secondary, and tertiary education. As Grenada's only locally owned commercial bank, We continue to fully embrace our corporate social responsibility and has now enhanced and expanded its super education investment plan in response to the negative fallouts from the COVID-19 pandemic. With immediate effect, late payments or non-payments into the plan up to December 31st, 2021 will not result in the cancellation of the plan. Plans with late payments or non-payments between March 31st, 2020 and December 31st, 2021 will be deemed to be in good standing and be eligible for the scholarship draws. Star points in the plan. Since inception, we paid $3 star points for each grade A or grade 1 received in final exams. This will now be increased to $5. The number of scholarships. This scholarship component of the Education Investment Plan, which has been in existence for more than 10 years, now offers the following. Silver Scholarship, that is scholarship for primary education. This used to be for 1 year. Now it's for the duration of the primary education of the student. We have also increased the number of primary education scholarships from 7 to 28. Each scholarship is valued at $1,200. For the gold sponsorship, gold scholarship, that is scholarship for secondary education, used to be 1 year. Now it's for the duration of the secondary education of the student. We have also increased the number of secondary education scholarships from 7 to 28, and each scholarship is valued at $2,500. The Platinum Scholarship now has two components, one for college education and one for university education. For college education, we are now providing 3 two-year scholarships to TAMCC at a value of $3,000 to meet college expenses. The Platinum Scholarship for university education, as scholarships for university studies, it used to be 1 3-year scholarship every 2 years at a value of $45,000. That is now being changed, and we are providing 2 3-year scholarships at a value of $45,000, and that scholarship will be conducted, the draw for that scholarship will be conducted every 2 years. We believe this will help ease the financial constraint and mental stresses of all Grenadians that are currently plan owners and soon to be plan owners. This investment by Grenada Co-operative Bank is an investment in the future of our nation's children. It's an investment in the future of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Over the last 10 years, we have seen real products of this investment. Scholarship winners have excelled at school and studies. Some have attained university degrees in information technology, hospitality arts, accounting, banking, and finance. By way of this, the quality of lives of many households have improved tremendously, while the contribution to national development is well noted. Co-op Bank holds true to its corporate mission when we say that with Grenadian pride, We improve the lives of our customers through the provision of high-quality financial services while ensuring a fair return to our shareholders and contributing to the well-being of the citizens where we operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Okay, so we have reached a point in our program where we will open the lines for the media. We have given them a number that they can call in with questions regarding the discussion that we've had so far. In the meantime, I will ask some questions that came in before to the panelists. The bank made an after-tax profit of, I think it was $7.2 million as at March 31st, 2020. Do you expect this level of performance going forward given the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic? Chairman?
I'll take that question.
Thank you, Mrs. Joseph.
Firstly, I wish to point out that the performance at the first half of the financial year represents pre-COVID results. COVID and the responses to minimize its impact are subsequent events that will impact future performance. We know that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank has projected a contraction of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union GDP for 2020 and has also projected an increase in unemployment, which we know will spill over into the banking sector. Therefore, the remaining 6 months performance will, of course, not mirror what we would have seen for the first half. Notwithstanding that, the bank remains committed to meeting our customers' needs, remains committed to serving our customers while we ensure stability and safety of depositors' funds. And also our team, that is our board of directors, our staff, and management also remain committed to putting the skin in the game that is required at this time.
I may also add to that it is always instructive to look at what happened in the past. If you recall, after the crisis of 2008, we didn't feel the brunt of that crisis until about 3 years later. And you will recall that all banks in the region had to provide for what is really their biggest asset, the loans. And so if this crisis is going to be much bigger, and that's the anticipation by all the analysts, much bigger than the 2008 crisis, then we can expect that the real effects of this crisis wouldn't be felt for at least another 3 years. So the pain that we are feeling now is probably much less than what we will be feeling a little bit later on. So it will be foolhardy to believe that this level of profitability may be continuing in the short term.
Okay. As a follow-up of sorts, 2 weeks ago we held a webinar to discuss a moratorium program that we were offering to customers that would have been impacted by the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic in Grenada. How well do you think this program is progressing since we've begun it? Sorry.
Yes, we did a program where we enlightened people on what is a moratorium. And I'm happy to say that many persons have accessed that program. And on the retail end, 741 customers have applied for that facility, and 115 businesses have applied for that relief. I will use the opportunity to remind persons that once your income was affected, then you qualify for this program. If other members of your household are also affected, you can also apply for the moratorium. And if you want information on what a moratorium is, if you missed that program, then you can go onto our Facebook page and get the tips that we left there for you.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. There has been some improvement in customer satisfaction ratings relating to telephone experience, up 2 percentage points over 2019. What measures are being taken to manage the experience customers have when they're trying to reach the bank with any issues, queries, complaints, with the limited opening hours and lockdown days as well?
We know that we are on lockdown and the bank is really offering some limited service only on 3 days a week. So persons only have the opportunity to come into the bank on 3 days, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. However, they can also contact the bank via its e-banking platform using secure messaging. If you have any queries on our e-banking service, you can reach us by email on ebanking@grenadacoopbank.com. If you have any problems on with your debit cards or your credit card for that matter, you can reach us on card center at grenadacoopbank.com. And of course, if you know the name of your relationship officer, you can always contact your relationship officer by cell phone anytime during the work week. And we have customers who are able to help you even in the nighttime with your e-banking problems. So we have made preparation to help customers even during this lockdown.
Also to add, we continue to review our contact channels, and in short course we'll be adding additional contact channels which will make it easier for our customers to reach us remotely, and that obviously will augurs well for the customer experience that you have. That will naturally be improved. So we are constantly in review of those contact channels.
Thank you very much. I have a question here from the media. When can customers expect to see Co-op Bank return to normal or regular opening hours? Or what currently exists become the new normal?
Well, it is everyone in Grenada's hope, I would imagine, that we can all go back to living what we consider to be our normal lives, going about our normal duties, being able to congregate and so on. But as long as this virus is about, we may be limited in doing some of these activities, and banking is no exception. As a good corporate citizen, we want to listen to what is issued officially by the government and by the COVID-19 task force. So we listen for their directives, and as soon as we get the all clear from them, then we can go back to some semblance of normalcy. It is our hope that at some point in the near future we can go back to our routine opening hours and extending all the services that customers are accustomed to in the shortest possible space of time. But as for now, we await the directives of the government and the COVID-19 task force.
We should also remember that we might not want, as a public, to go back to the old way, because what has happened, if you remember the millennium bug, there was a scare that all computers would crash and that sort of thing. So everybody upgraded. It turned out that the computers did not crash because of when the year 2000 rolled around, but everybody had the byproduct benefit of an upgrade. So similarly, what COVID is doing is pushing us to look at technology again, to see how we could use it for remote meetings, working from home, avoiding congestion in cities and towns by physically being present everywhere we think we need to be. So, I mean, even the government sort of reactivated their online website for paying taxes and so. So if we find that these new ways are more convenient, we may not really we may not go back to the old way and readopt everything we were doing before just out of habit. We might find the new way is a little more convenient and more cost effective.
I want to rejoin on that and to remind customers that notwithstanding the fact that there is a lockdown, 24-hour banking service is available to you. 24-hour banking service via our e-banking platform, via the ATM services. So as we speak, even on weekends, one can transfer funds to friends and family. One can initiate transactions. One can send secure messaging. As we speak, one can originate wire transfers. So you can transact banking services really and truly 24/7, even during lockdown.
I'm glad, Chair and Mr. Moses, you spoke about the technology that is available, because on occasion, I have seen customers inquiring about salary payments, incoming wire transfers, whether they're being processed even while the bank was closed. Will there be any delays with customers receiving and processing incoming funds, whether by salary or wire transfer during lockdown and during the limited opening hours?
And the answer to that is no. These things can be done with minimum human intervention, so they can be done remotely. And what we do is we encourage employers to use our electronic transfer service. It is a service that allows you to pay your staff across banks. So even if you bank with Co-op Bank and some of your employees bank elsewhere, you can initiate a transaction from your business or from home, and each one of your customers can be paid. So that service would not result in any delay whatsoever. Transfers, salary payments, things like that can be done automatically and with minimum intervention by the bank.
Also to add, the electronic funds transfer service is also for individuals who can transfer funds from your account here at Co-op to any other bank, or from any other bank into your account at the Grenada Co-operative Bank.
Thank you. All right, I have another question here from the media directed to the chairman. Should shareholders be concerned with the value of their shares at Co-op Bank during this turbulent economic situation?
Okay, well, let's just talk about the immediate value. There were some results reported up to March 31st, and there was a month of trading since then on the Eastern Caribbean securities market. And the share price remained constant. But we must also remember that investing on the stock market, you have to decide if you're investing long or investing short. And institutions like banks are basically considered long-term investments, and people don't just switch out of investment in a bank on a whim. You tend to ride out the storm. If you look at the 9/11 time and the 2004 Ivan and the Hurricane Ivan and the 2008 financial meltdown, basically Co-op Bank shares remained at the same value. There was no fluctuation because people tend to think of it as a long-term investment, something to pass on to their children, something to earn some dividends over the long run. So we don't expect any change. Immediate COVID effect on the economy is expected to be 2 years to 3 years with a reduction in tourism. And then the long-term, perhaps more painful effect would be beyond that Mr. Moses referred to. But the bank shares are highly likely to remain constant in value and in fact go up because it's one of the more predictable and reliable institutions to invest in.
Thank you, Chairman. All right, a follow-up question from the media again. it is possible that some of the bank shareholders may have been impacted financially by this crisis and may consider dipping into their reserves, so to speak. What would you say to shareholders who are thinking about liquidating GCBL shares?
We would advise such shareholders to speak with their financial advisors, or they can visit our brokerage and investment services unit to really understand their options.
Thank you. We want to encourage the media to continue calling in with your questions, if you have any, by the number that was provided to you previously. I just want to ask one question with respect to the health and safety of their employees. What specifically is the bank doing to protect the lives and from the spread and contraction of COVID-19 in the banking halls, for both staff and customers? Can you shed some light?
Okay, well, Co-op Bank is complying with recommendations from the government of Grenada and Ministry of Health, such as the 6-foot social distancing protocols and monitoring. We are monitoring regularly for updates, just like the public is. There are several groups like WhatsApp and so that people are exchanging information. Plus, the government has done quite a good job of their GIS Facebook page. You can easily get updates there. Employees continue to perform extra cleaning cycles because you notice when you come into the bank there's a hand sanitizer routine. But in addition to that, there are cleaning cycles during the day, every hour. And our cleaning contractors are using industrial strength antibacterial products. I don't want to make any reference to Mr. President Trump at this point. And we are also providing hand sanitization at all sort of transit points, entrances and hallways and so. And remember that this building and our new premises, whether it's Spiceland Mall or Church Street, were designed with the future in mind. They're, with future capacity in mind, and they're rather spacious. So it is not difficult for us to achieve the 6-foot spacing. And of course, many staff are working from home now, or working remotely. So the congestion of staff within the building is much less. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's just touch on cybersecurity. Cyber criminals often use crises to take advantage of vulnerable people. In what ways can people protect themselves from internet fraud or scams at this time?
Unfortunately, that is a fact, and worldwide is a worldwide phenomenon. When there are crises, people would look to use crises to exploit those who are vulnerable. We are already seeing, and we have reports from other countries where COVID-19 crimes are becoming rampant on the internet. We think it is a common sense approach that is required. People have to be aware of what's happening around them. You have a debit card or a credit card, you want to make sure that once you leave home, these things are on your person and held tightly. Even at home, you want to make sure that your card is held securely. And one thing you should do is never give anybody your PIN, which is your personal identification number. You don't give that to anybody else. So even if you lose the card, they would be unable to do certain things with that card. You should remember, the bank will never ask you, the customer, for your PIN. The bank will never ask you for your PIN. So any mail purportedly coming from the bank asking you for your PIN, you should know right away that that is a scam. Be very, very careful in giving away your personal information. it is always risky so to do. When you are out shopping, you want to make sure that the card remains within sight. So when you hand that card to a cashier, for example, in a supermarket, you want to make sure that whatever is done in the swiping of that card, you can see it. In other words, a teller or a cashier should not be taking your card and going in some back room to do the transaction, or hold it below the counter where you can see. You want to have it remain in your line of sight. And anytime you are unsure, call the bank, email the bank, whatever you do, contact the bank and ask a question or two before you act, because it may be a scam.
Okay, thank you. We have a call from one of our media houses. Good morning.
Good morning.
Kindly and highlight which media house you're calling from and who's speaking.
Beverly Sinclair speaking.
Okay.
Island Media, independent outfit.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. With the current interruption to business, and we can clearly see that it will not be business as usual anytime soon, what type of initiatives can we look forward to from Co-op Bank to assist persons who will be embarking on brand new businesses that have not yet been tested, but services and products that will be needed in this new dispensation that has been created? Is this something that the bank is looking at, or what kind of shift can we expect to see from the traditional lending portfolios that the banks usually offer?
That's
You're welcome.
a particularly good question, and it is something that has engaged our minds over the last few weeks. As you correctly pointed out, it's not business as usual. We know that several businesses have been affected. The economy, as Mrs. Joseph said, is across the region predicted to shrink by huge percentages. So it is not a rosy picture that is being painted for businesses going forward. Notwithstanding that, of course, in a crisis, you always have businesses that will thrive. So if you look at the supermarkets as probably the best visible example as we speak, business is booming for them. So there are businesses that will thrive in crises. That is to say that the bank, while it will be concentrating on helping existing businesses survive, will always want to keep an eye open for good opportunities out there. So somebody is coming to the bank now and saying, I have this good business proposition. We will want to look at it. And yes, we probably will go through it with a fine-tooth comb to maybe double-check projections and cash flow predictions and things like that. We would want to look at the industry in which that business is going to operate and what is being predicted for that particular industry going forward, so that we don't miss a good business opportunity. We don't kill entrepreneurship altogether. So the bank will still keep its eye open for businesses that can flourish, particularly during a crisis period like that. So we will be keeping our eyes open for new businesses.
And if I may add, in terms of access to our products and services, we are providing opportunity where that can be done remotely for some of our products and services through an upgrade and redesign of our website. That is coming in short course within 6 weeks. So persons can make application for products and services of the bank quite easier without being physically or having to be physically at the bank to do it. Yep.
Okay, Go ahead, Chairman.
In addition, in a crisis, well, you know the expression, no man is an island. In a crisis, the usual response is for all resources to join hands to get out of trouble. You can't function on your own in a crisis. And when businesses are reviewing their situation now, they have to take into account the offers that government has made for support to business. And this is the time that you find that business organizations become even more critical because the Hotel Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the government have to get together to work out a viable solution for employees in Grenada. And what the banks will then do, as bank is like the shock absorber that would take up the slack that cannot be taken up by these other organizations. So when a business comes back to the bank, they have to say, well, the government will pay half my payroll or a quarter. There'll be some sort of payroll support program. So therefore, we need a bank to now take up the slack for the rest and so. So that coordination has to take place. You saw it happen in the US, where the government would go to the manufacturers and say, we need you to start making ventilators and face masks and stop making cars or whatever else you do. So that there's a collaboration of all national resources for a single focus. There's a plan for the country. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to close the phone lines for the media in about a minute. And I will take this other question that was submitted by the media. What is the primary focus of the bank presently and over the next 6 to 12 months, if we can elaborate on that?
The primary focus of the bank will be to understand the customer needs and responding to those needs. We want to ensure that we provide efficient and safe options to our customers. But we are living in a time where the future is unknown. And things are going to evolve and can possibly and potentially evolve very quickly. So remaining conscious and of those needs and being able to respond in a very quick time requires of us to constantly stay in touch. Our relationship officers would be engaged with our customers, and as those needs evolve, as can happen, we will respond accordingly. Already, we have offered the loan postponement plan, and Mr. Moses alluded to earlier, quite a number of businesses and individuals would have applied and would have been granted loan payment postponements. That is for now. We do not know 6 months from now what the specific need may be. That can also change. But we are on the pulse of it. We will remain on the pulse, and so that we can be effective in responding to those needs. But the safe and secure options are very important at this time. As we work remotely, we want to offer solutions, as we have did through our e-banking, where it becomes seamless to have access and continue banking even if the doors of the bank is not open physically to you. The e-banking platform offers many opportunities. Your account balances you can check, you can transfer funds to from one account to another, transfer funds to from your account to your friend's account, and an upgrade is coming that will offer many more opportunities of things that you can do remotely from your homes, from the palm of your hand using a mobile phone or your laptop or your desktop. So we are remaining on the pulse and make sure that we respond to those needs effectively.
And just to add to Roger's comments, our focus also includes, well, of course, the customer being first and foremost, but our focus also encompasses maintaining a good asset quality, securing customers' deposits, and ensuring a strong capital base.
Okay, as we wrap up, is there anything any of you would like to add as we close?
Well, this is a good time for reflection. You know, sometimes we get caught up in our personal lives, a rat race, whatever it is you get distracted with. And the world itself now has time to reflect on the way forward. This is a good time for us in Grenada to think of striking a different balance that is more sustainable in the future. This is not the end of pandemics or serious medical challenges, because we had the threat of SARS before and other things that have knocked us down, but not as badly as this. So it's a time to reflect on the type of risks that we should be taking and the type of security that we should be creating for ourselves through better collaboration, better planning, and better preparedness.
Okay, thank you, panelists. We just want to thank our viewers and listeners again for tuning in to this briefing as we update you on what's been happening in Co-op Bank over the last 6 months ending March. And we want to encourage you to continue remaining safe and to take all the precautions that have been set out so that you can prevent the contraction and spread of COVID-19 in Grenada. We know that this is a difficult time, but the bank is here for you and here with you. And we just want to wish you all a great weekend and continue staying safe. We thank you.